یه فرصت خوب حالا پشت مدافع خداداد عزیزی توی دروازه گل گل برای ایران خداداد عزیزی باز هم روی زمین گشت سردار آزمون و توی دروازه سردار آزمون گل به نام آزمون و برای ایران
بزنه کریم انصاری فر توی دروازه کریم انصاری فر دروازه پرتغال باز شد
علی دایی سام توپ توی دروازه
گل اشتباه حرکت از کوچان نژاد فرصت برای کوچان نژاد توی دروازه گل برای ایران.
Everyone, welcome back to another episode of Gol Bezan. My name is Sina and I'm joined by Erfan and Arya. How are you both doing?
I'm doing well. Very happy to be back with Gol Bezan. It's been a while.
Yeah, I'm happy to be back as well. It's been a very, very long time. We've been on a hiatus, it seems, but we're back with a new format on the channel, and let's get started.
Yeah, a little bit about the format as well, I guess, like for people listening. So we if you saw on Twitter, we want to change the format. So every month we're coming out with a new episode. Of course, like we're busy people. This is our like part-time thing. We're not spending like a massive amount of time on, but if we can, we're aiming for every month, and we're going to be covering more than just the men's football. We're going to be covering all aspects of Iranian football. So yeah, do stay tuned for that, because we thought the old format was getting a little bit stale. We thought, to mix up a little bit. And so this is, I think, the first format of this episode, actually. So it's exciting stuff. Okay, cool. Let's get started very quickly. And Erfan, you wanted to get going with some updates from the women's side of the game.
Yeah, so just going to give it a quick mention. Iran, our U18 women's team, was crowned champions of the CAF U18 Women's Championship. And then moving on to the Women's Futsal League. The Polish Naft Abadan were crowned champions of the Futsal League, and the Khatun Bam were crowned champions of the Women's Football League. And speaking of women's futsal, a new ranking was released. For the first ever FIFA futsal ranking was released a while ago, and our women's team was actually ranked 8th in the world, which is very nice to see.
And just quickly on the new format, we will be talking about the men's game in later sections, but yeah, covering this stuff first, I think, is definitely important. So let's all really cool. And then so you talk about the world rankings, and then the first edition of the Women's Futsal World Cup as well. You mentioned that as well, right?
That's going to be held I think in 2025 in the Philippines. And our women's teams have in futsal especially, have always been one of the best in Asia, competing with Japan. And they, as we can see in their rankings, they are ranked very high. So hopefully they can do well and impress in the first edition of the FIFA Futsal Women's World Cup. And I forgot to mention this, but Khatun Bam, I mentioned they won the Women's Football League. They dedicated their trophy to Melli Mohammadi, who, as we all know, unfortunately passed away a while ago. So it was very nice to see that, for them to dedicate the trophy to her and her family.
And Arya, there was like new rankings as well released. So what are the rankings in terms of the futsal?
So for the men's national side, they're 4th overall, which is very impressive. I mean, the 4th best country in the world. They're just coming off the huge win in the AFC. What do you call it? The Futsal Championship, the AFC Futsal Asian Cup, whatever you want to call it. They just won that too, and they played against Thailand, which were the hosts. They won 4-1, I believe. So just when it comes to futsal, I think Iran has always been a dominant powerhouse. I think they will continue to dominate that sport for quite a long time. And it brings us to the World Cup that is being held later this year, which Iran will obviously participate, as they've won the Asian Cup. So depending on who they will be playing, I think they're in the first pot. Erfan, can you correct me if I'm wrong? I think we're in the first pot.
Are.
So
yes.
That's gonna be something that we're gonna be talking about in the future for sure.
Yeah. Why do you boys think, just like quickly, because we haven't talked about futsal that much, but I think since we last recorded, a lot's happened in the futsal space. Now, why do you think that Iranian futsal is so much more progressed than, say, the foot, like the playing football on grass? Like, I remember seeing an interview with one of the futsal players, I think one of the stand-up futsal players, and they asked him, if you got a call up to the national team of like playing on grass, would you take it? Even though there's far more money in the playing on grass and things like that. He's like, no, like uh, playing on sand is far. Sorry, not futsal, not beach. I'm getting them mixed up. But we're so far progressed in terms of beach and also futsal, which is interesting. So why do you guys think that is?
I mean, I guess it's obviously growing the game on grass is a lot harder, quote unquote. I mean, when it comes to a country like Iran who doesn't seem to be investing this much on the actual football, beach soccer and futsal is being played all over Iran. I mean, if you go just to regular high schools and elementary schools, they play futsal like it's a regular thing. Beach soccer is quite accessible as well. So you don't need as much investment in those compared to, investing in football on grass. And we've all talked about it, but the Iranian Federation does not seem to care as much for the actual men's team or women's team. And it's sad because I feel like if we had that investment, we'd be in a lot better position than we are right now. And I think Erfan might probably say the same thing here or something similar.
Yeah, I definitely agree with that, especially the futsal part. Like, just even going to the smallest of villages in Iran, you will find at least a futsal salon, as they call it, a futsal field there. And like for example, in Ramadan, there is something called the Ramadan Futsal Cup, which is held even in the smallest of villages. And the passion that the fans have for their local sides is just amazing. It encourages a lot of youngsters to continue playing futsal. And I think that's why we are one of the more dominant countries in terms of the sport.
And then Erfan, sticking with you, so moving on to the on grass, what's the update in terms of the PGPL?
Okay, so we're in the final 3 weeks of the season. Things are getting very, very excited. I'll start with the title race. It's between the two giants, Esteghlal and Persepolis. Sepahan have dropped out and they have no chance of winning the title anymore. Esteghlal lead on 60 points, Persepolis just behind on 59 points. And there's three games to go, so anything could happen. It's been an amazing season for both these teams, and usually this amount of points would be enough to win the league for either teams, but both teams are having a fantastic season. Javanbakhsh, who came in for Esteghlal this season, I wouldn't say he's been the best, but he's definitely done well with the players that he has. I think the players that he got in this year, like Gustavo Blanco, Mehdi, maybe not Mehdi, but Gustavo Blanco definitely, and Masharipov, they've done their jobs well, even if they're not scoring that much. His tactic is more like holding the ball and gaining possession, and that's working out for him. For Persepolis, Yahya Gul Mohammadi, he didn't really have a good start to the season. Got knocked out of the AFC Champions League. Ranked up some draws and some losses in the first half of the season. Got him sacked, and then Osman Vieira, his assistant, actually took over. And they've been playing the best football in the league, in my opinion, since then. They've just been amazing. The way they use their wingers to build up in the game and attack forward, I think has been amazing. And I can see it going either way. And then speaking of Sepahan, as I mentioned earlier, they're in good position to stay third. Tractor are their only opposition, and it's going to be between them for the last Asian quota. In the relegation battle, something very sad to see, the bottom three clubs are all from Khuzestan. Sanat Naft bottom, Fulad on 15th, and Esteghlal Khuzestan 14th. And it's unfortunate. I've mentioned this last year, but the management down there in Khuzestan is atrocious, and it seems like we're only going to have one Khuzestani club in the top division next year.
And then going to like cup tournaments as well. What's the update there with the final four?
So the quarterfinals were actually played yesterday. Tractor lost against Ms. Rafsanjan. Chowdhury Ardakan were actually from the second division. They lost to Aluminium Arak. So that sets up the first semi-final, which is Mes versus Aluminium. And on the other side of the brackets, it's Gol Gohar, who destroyed Havadar 5-0. So Gol Gohar will be playing against Sepahan, who beat Malawan. So yeah, the final four teams are Sepahan, Gol Gohar, Aluminium, and Mes. So we're gonna have a team that hasn't won for a long time at least. Three of the teams have never won this cup, and Sepahan haven't won it in I think around 8-9 years. So it's good to see some new teams reaching the stage of the competition.
Yeah, it all sounds good. And then in terms of the Asian Champions League as well, like we've got an extra spot this year, right?
Well, we have a new format in the Asian Cup competition next season. For the AFC Champions League, Elite, as it's called now, is going to be a league format, and we're going to have two direct spots, which has already been decided. It's going to go to Estafal and Persepolis as they've confirmed their spots in first and second. And then we have one playoff spot for that as well, which is going to go to the winners of the Hasfi Cup. And we also have one spot in the second tier competition, the ACL2, as it's called. And that's going to go to the third place in the league, which is going to be Sepahan or Tractor, unless Sepahan wins the Hasfi Cup.
Sounds cool. Sounds really good. Okay, I want to move on to the Legionnaires now. So we've had a few changes of clubs, I guess, which is cool. We had Said Azatollahi moving to the UAE. We had a few different transfers. Actually, why don't you remind us, Arya, in terms of what's happened recently for the Legionnaires in both Japan and the UAE?
So I guess let's talk about Japan. I mean, there's only one man, Shahab Zahidi, who moved from Persepolis to Avispa Fukuoka. Listen, it's a very unorthodox transfer. It came out of nowhere, to be completely honest. And he, I guess, needed to move because he wasn't doing so well at Persepolis, which I don't think he was as bad as people were saying, but nevertheless, he needed to move. I always thought of Shabzadi as someone who wants to go to Europe or something. I don't know what's really going on with that. Maybe he's going to use this Japan move as a sort of as a step to go back to Europe. I don't know. But the truth is, this guy has been freaking killing it in the J League. I mean, he's pretty much assisting or scoring in every other game. I think he's got, I might be wrong on this, 6 goals and 2 assists in like 9 or 10 games, something like that. But that's crazy. I watch and follow Japanese football, so I'm speaking to people who are fans of that club, and they all tell me that they want him to stay at the club.
Yeah, they all love him. Like on Twitter, they all love him.
And he's actually staying until I think June or something. So his contract is like almost pretty much expired. He was only there for a very short amount of time. I would say it's more logical for the club to sign him because, I mean, what's the point of only having him for a few months? But again, that also depends on what Zahidi himself wants, right? Because obviously the Japanese league, the way transfers work, it's not like in Europe, right? They have different schedules. So that's something to consider. It's a very big factor, actually. I don't know if he's been nominated for like a player of the month or something. He's probably gonna win it at some point with how he's been performing. But that's pretty much it for Shahab Zahidi. I don't know if you guys want to add anything on him.
No, I think you summed up very, very well. I actually like the move. I think anything sort of out of the player's comfort zone in Iran, where there's a big sort of magnifying glass on them in terms of playing for Persepolis or playing for Esteghlal, and they're often I think they like the comfort of it. So moving to a place like Japan, even I think is an upgrade because it's a new culture, it's a new style of football. And I think it only benefits their playing, in my opinion. Like obviously within limits, it still has to be a pretty good league, but the J League is pretty decent. So yeah, I thought it was a decent move to begin with. Hopefully he stays or upgrades. I think going back to Iran isn't the best move in my opinion. But I think he should treat this as a stepping stone and getting into Europe if he can.
And like, listen, his playing style has been talked about a lot. A lot of people have been asking me, why is he doing this well in Japan? Like, what's different about him than other strikers? And the real answer to that is he is a very physical player. If you've seen his goals, a lot of his goals were like headers. He scored this one ridiculous goal from his own half. I don't know if you guys have seen it. The goals that he scores are not very normal, if I have to say. But the goals that he does score, most of them are headers, and he's very physical. Like, you can just see him easily jump over Japanese defenders as if it's nothing, really. So I think physicality plays a big part, and the PGPL being a very physical league, you don't see 5-0 games in the PGPL very often, right? It's always 1-0, 2-1, something like that. Very rarely you see these big scoring games, but the game is so physical in Iran that I feel like that actually advantages Shahabzadeh a lot in Japan. So it's a very, very big advantage. And then we've seen a lot of other rumors with other players, such as Mehdi, who was rumored to go to the J League as well. Now,
Yeah, he was. Yeah,
actually happened or not, I don't know. But I think it's good that it does, open doors for certain players to go to the J League. I wouldn't mind players of the PGPL going to the J League, use that as a stepping stone to go to Europe. The J League is a league that is very scouted as well, a lot more than the PGPL. So overall for Iranian football, I think what Shahabzadeh is doing at the moment is top. I think it's perfect.
yeah, I couldn't agree more. Okay, so going to you, Erfan, to talk about Saeed Azatollah and other sort of Legionnaires in UAE. I guess like for myself, I think like him moving from Denmark to the UAE after the Asian Cup, it wasn't the most positive move. He's not been playing badly from what I see, but it's yeah, it's somewhat disappointing in my opinion. I feel like he's a better player than the UAE. He's a better player than second tier in Denmark as well. Don't get me wrong, but I felt like it could have been a slight upgrade going elsewhere. I don't know what you think.
Well, first of all, on Shahab, like you guys mentioned, he's definitely quite the journeyman. He's played in some interesting places, Hungary, Ukraine, Iceland, even, I think. So yeah, it's good for him. But on the UAE players, as like first of all, yeah, the move kind of shocked me as well. I mean, I didn't expect him to come over here and play in the UAE league. I thought, I mean, he has done something like this before. I mean, you might remember his loan move to the Qatari league. So it's not like it's not something he's done for the first time. But he's been doing well here. I think he can do better. But the fans here love him. He's been playing top football almost every game, you could say. And I think that just shows, it just proves what you said, that his level is definitely higher than the UAE league. And he's been doing well with his team as well. Shabab Al Ahli. They're probably going to qualify for the AFC Champions League next season as well. So we could see him play against some Iranian teams. And then some of the other Legionnaires here, Mehdi has been doing amazing for Etihad
He's doing
Kalba.
really well. Yeah.
Yeah, scoring. I think he scored like 15 goals this season so far. I think that's a new record for him. So he's been doing really well for them. And I think hopefully, I want him to get a move out of the UAE this season, to be honest. I think it's been too long for him in the country, so hopefully he can get a good move. And then Farhad Majidi, obviously he got sacked, and I think rightfully so. He wasn't getting good results at all, and their new coach has been doing well with the team Al Qaedi. And then Ahmad Nurullahi also. Wow, I mean, after his exclusion of the Asian Cup squad, he's just been destroying the UAE league. I mean, I thought he was a midfielder, but after all the goals he's been getting here and all the assists, even he's been even playing as a striker sometimes. And he's really proved me wrong, to be honest. I didn't think he would reach this level, and he's one of the best players in the UAE league right now.
Yeah, I think you definitely highlighted some players where their level is certainly above the UAE league, and like especially Mehdi Ghaidi after the Asian Cup where he was so good. I think his next move, it has to be Europe. I'm fairly doubtful though, but he's very comfortable in the Middle East. I don't really see him moving elsewhere, but his level is far beyond that. I would say like he can comfortably play in the French league or the Spanish league, like not yeah, the mid-table Spanish or mid-table French, I think it's to his level very, very well. Um, but yeah, it's just not, unfortunately. Okay, let's talk about the Legionnaires in Europe because it's been some exciting news. The Mehdi Taremi transfer finally went through. I don't think it's like official yet. It's not been on social media or anything, but it's pretty much there. Which is exciting. Let's talk about that very quickly. I already think of that moving from Porto to Inter Milan.
Mixed emotions. At the beginning of the season, I was very, very happy, but now I'm slowly kind of looking back at it and thinking, is that really the right move? I really wanted him to leave Porto last season or even before that. I think this move is long overdue. I don't think he should have stayed at Porto this long. And that kind of made a lot of Porto fans turn on him. A lot of Porto fans are disappointed, as some of you may have seen on Twitter. A lot of Porto fans are kind of mad against him for not being, performing as at the level that he should be performing at. But it's been a very weird season for him. I mean, I don't want to say he's had an absolute disaster class of a season because I don't think that's fair, but he hasn't had a good season at all. I think he's just been very average. He's had a lot going on too. I mean, he's also had that failed move from AC Milan that surprisingly never happened. God knows how that didn't happen. And possibly that affected him a lot. But I think in the Champions League, he was very good. Especially in that one game against Barcelona. I don't know if anyone remembers that one pass he did. He was at Pepe or Galeno, and then he missed it. He was having a very good game. He also scored a bicycle kick that was later offside. He had a terrific Champions League season. It's crazy because when it comes to Champions League, right, Taremi is a whole different breed. It's a completely different player. And he finally got that big move to Inter Milan, and I'm kind of worried about this because Inter Milan have a lot of strikers, right? They've got Alexis Sanchez, they've got Lautaro Martinez, they've got Marcus Thuram, and they've got Arnautovic. I believe Arnautovic is on loan, and I think Alexis Sanchez is also leaving. But I mean, does Taremi get over Lautaro Martinez? Probably not. Thuram, which is very good too. It's hard. So I think we're gonna have to slowly kind of accept that he's gonna be a lot more on the bench. Which isn't necessarily a bad thing, but we're not going to see 90 minutes of Taremi every single week.
Yeah, I mean, he wasn't really getting 90 minutes in his last season of Porto anyway. I think they did kind of shun him. I think even on his last game, a lot of people were booing him until he scored the goal, which is like an interesting thing about football fans. But I don't know. I'm in the same boat as you are. I've mixed emotions about this move because we know how talented he is. He didn't have a great Asian Cup, I will admit, but he's extremely talented. He's been performing at a very high level consistently, apart from this season. The move to AC Milan makes more sense, actually, than the move to Inter Milan, just because Inter Milan have far more depth when it comes to strikers. And I know how well rated Thuram and Martinez both are. And so it'll be interesting to see how he fits into their lineup. I don't want to see him as a rotational player. I think he's far better than that. But it's just one of those things that we might have to live with. And it's definitely a challenge for him.
And
what do you think,
Giroud is also leaving AC Milan.
He's already gone to LAFC. Yeah, that's signed.
So,
it's finished.
Like,
it would have made sense.
Yeah, it really would have.
Erfan, what do you think?
Yeah, before I speak on this, I forgot to mention this. I mean, Haswell, we won the Qatari League with Assad, so I just want to congratulate him on that. But yeah, on Taremi, I don't know, man. I think I agree with Arya here. I have mixed emotions on this. Obviously an Iranian moving to Inter Milan, one of the most historical clubs in Europe, one of the biggest clubs in the country. It's amazing on the outside, but when you look deeper into it, is he going to get the playing time he needs? Is he going to play the top level of football? Probably not as much as in Porto, but then, like you said, he hasn't been playing much this season anyways. I hope the move works out for him because, obviously we haven't seen a player shine that much for us in Italy. We had Azmoun this season, but he didn't do as well as expected. So hopefully Taremi can go there, and just like he did with Portugal, put a name out there for Iranians in the country.
One last thing I want to add too is, like you're saying, like this is not only huge for Iranian football. I think it's very significant for Asian football too, right? If I'm not mistaken, I think he's gonna then join Azmoun if he stays at Roma. He's gonna join Daichi Kamada, and he's gonna be joining Eldar Shomurodov, which are the only Asian representatives in the Serie A, right? So we're slowly starting to see some more Asian players joining the Italian leagues, which is pretty cool to see. If he ends up doing well, it's going to open more doors for other Iranian players, which is, I guess, what we want, right? I really do hope it works out, because my heart is going to, like, the amount of propaganda, the amount of, like, tweets and videos that we've all made on Taremi, all of that for it to go to, you know, him now at Inter Milan. And if he doesn't do well in Inter Milan, it's going to be a little bit, it's going to be heartbreaking. I think we can all agree here, right? Because we've been constantly, you know, elevating this guy. We're saying this guy's one of the best strikers in Asia, the best striker in Asia, blah, blah, blah. And then for him to not get the minutes in Inter Milan, it's going to be very sad. But yeah.
Before we move on to the other Legionnaires, it's maybe important to mention how Inter Milan actually like pretty comfortably won the league, the Serie A above AC Milan. So they're guaranteed a lot of games given the Champions League, and so I mean there will be rotation, of course, but still it's never nice to see, you know, our best player on the bench. Moving on to another Serie A player at the moment is Azmoun. Now, he's not been getting many minutes, even though they were in a European tournament. It's strange because he seems really happy at Roma. He seems like he's really gelled within the team. It seems like the fans like him as well, but he's not getting the minutes. So from the Iranian fan standpoint, you know, we're not happy. He seems happy. The Roma fans seem happy. So it's a strange one. I don't know what you think, Arya.
It's a weird one with Azmoun. I feel like he would have been a lot more useful under Jose Mourinho, which isn't there anymore. Daniel De Rossi, who took over as Roma. And I haven't watched every single minute of Azmoun this season, I'll admit it. But for the games that I have watched him play, he hasn't been all that bad. I don't think he's been as bad as some people say he has been. Yeah, he's not getting the minutes, but again, similar to a Taremi situation, you know, as Roma have Dybala up top, they've got Lukaku up top. Who else do they have? I think that's pretty much it.
Tammy Abraham, who's injured.
Tammy Abraham, who just came back from injury. So perhaps he's got a little bit unlucky with that. But I mean, in terms of the way he's been playing, I don't think he was necessarily all that bad. But the problem is it hasn't been enough. So I don't understand if Roma doesn't, right, which is in the rumors now. So the rumors are that he's set to come back to Leverkusen, which he's not actually going to return to Leverkusen. We all know that. Probably going to get shipped off to another club. He's been linked with Fulham, I believe, Sevilla. You know, you were saying earlier. But I guess it's still a very good, you know, experience for him to play in. You know, in Italy, it's been a nice thing for him. And as you mentioned, he looks very happy. Looks to have really gelled in with the players, and he keeps posting on Instagram with his teammates. It's kind of heartwarming to see it, but from like a footballing point of view, it's a little bit shaky for sure.
Yeah, I mean, I completely agree. What I think will happen is that Roma won't sign him. He'll go back to Leverkusen. Leverkusen have just smashed every record in the Bundesliga book. And so nothing's gonna happen there. He's not gonna play. The potential. I mean, Xabi Alonso can sign pretty much any striker right now because he's, you know, they've got such a good team and a good manager. So he'll get shipped off to another club, as you said. It's just what that next move will be, and it won't be a loan one. I think it'll be a sell, or like a loan with an option to sell. You know how they do those. So, but I would love to see him in England, of course. Like Fulham is very close to where I live, so I would love to see that happen. But the next club he moves to, I think, needs to be a long-term club. Like, you can't keep moving around. I think it needs to be a good one. Yeah.
I'm scared that he ends up moving to like a Turkish team or something like that.
I can see that happening as well. That would be so
That's a
rubbish.
very like Azmoun like move, like, or him like
Yeah.
returning to Russia with Zenit or something. Like I wouldn't be
Back to his
surprised if he
horses.
does. Like I really wouldn't be surprised if he does something like that. I
Yeah.
really do hope. He goes. Oh, he's also been linked with a lot of French teams. He was
That's
with
true.
Lyon, I believe, or Marseille was it? I don't remember. I wouldn't mind him going there too. It would be pretty cool.
I mean, yeah, like as soon as the Asian Cup finished, as soon as they got knocked out of the tournament, where's the first place he went? He went to Russia. He went to Zenit. So he's got some strong links there. And don't get me wrong, he played very well, but Russia's not the move for him right now. It's a step backwards. He should be entering his prime at the moment, and that's just not the move for him. That's why I'm saying this next move is pretty critical for him. Okay, cool. Let's talk about I want to talk about Javanbakhsh as well now. So he's been playing a few minutes here and there for Feyenoord. What's interesting is that Liverpool, that obviously Jurgen Klopp's leaving. The Feyenoord manager has been very heavily linked to Liverpool. I've already seen Iranian fans do this. I fucking hate Iranian Twitter. They've put like Javanbakhsh on a Liverpool shirt. Like I'm like, come on, but it's just bound to happen. But what do you think's going to happen with Javanbakhsh given that the season's ending fairly soon? I'll go
Uh,
to you, Erfan.
yeah, I think we're almost at the here we go for Jahanbakhsh to Liverpool. So I'll be waiting on that news. But yeah, Jahanbakhsh, hasn't been getting the most game time this season, but he has still been playing here and there. He's come in as a substitute in most of Feyenoord's games this season. He got a really nice assist a few days ago. So that's nice to see, and I think that the goal that he assisted won them the game as well. Um, and Jahanbakhsh, he's very well known in Dutch football. He's played with NEC, he's played with AZ Alkmaar, and now with Feyenoord. He's won, I think, both the major cups, or both the major leagues in the country. And I don't know. I mean, Feyenoord announced that they're not gonna extend his contract, because I think there's an option in this contract where they can add an extra year. So they said they're not going to activate it. But apparently they still might renew, but on different terms. I don't think it's going to happen. I think he's going to move from Feyenoord. I think that's the end of the line for him there. Maybe a move to maybe a smaller or mid-table Dutch club. I'm not sure. But he's still, we know how important he is for Team Melli. We saw in Qatar how he stepped up when some of the maybe even bigger names like Taremi didn't. So I think he still has that a great mentality in him, and he's still a good and important player for us in the next cycle. So I hope he takes the best.
Yeah, I don't really see where he's going to go from here. I'm pretty concerned and confused because yeah, I guess the options are he stays in the Netherlands but goes to a lower sort of league club, um, or he takes a chance and goes to another country. He's not going to go to England. I don't really know. Maybe France, maybe Spain. I don't really know. What do you think, Arya?
He's been linked to, I think he himself said it or something like that. Apparently he's got a lot of club interest in Germany in the Bundesliga, which actually does make a lot of sense. I do see him on a fair few teams. Like I'd see him at a team like Union Berlin or like Wolfsburg or something like that. Like I'd see him fit in those sort of teams. Obviously he's not as fast as he used to be anymore. So, he's not like a Serge Gnabry or Leroy Sané type winger, right? But that one holding midfielder that goes back and goes up front too. But it'd be interesting, and I really do hope he makes a good choice for him because
Yeah, true gentleman. I really do like him as well. Okay, I do want to mention quickly, we won't spend too much time on him, but Saman Ghoddos as well, playing for Brentford. Um, ever since he's come back from the Asian Cup, he's been getting pretty much 0 minutes. And I think I mean, as he went to the Asian Cup, he played pretty well, actually played very well. I was very impressed by him in the Asian Cup. They signed in the January transfer windows, they signed Region, who replaced a sort of fullback position. And ever since then, he's really struggled to get into the side. So I don't really know what he's going to do in that position. I know like Brentford, they let him go last summer, then re-signed. So Yeah, I think that's also a question mark. I know him and his wife, they love London. So yeah, it'd be an interesting one to track also in terms of what he makes, in terms of what his next move is.
Since the Asian Cup, he's played a total of 10 minutes in the Premier League.
Yeah, that's a joke. That is
10
crazy.
minutes. That is absurd.
Yeah, that is insane. It's because they've signed players in his position is, I guess, left back or right back for them. But also they've had players come back from injury, so they have far more squad depth than they did, at the beginning of the season. So it's just been unlucky for him, and you can't really control the Asian Cup. Yeah, what's up?
Yeah, I agree on that. And initially, like you said, he was re-signed because of their injury crisis, and it was not expected after he was released. So I think even staying this season was more than enough for him. And I don't think he's going to stay with Brentford, unfortunately for him. And yes, it's a role for him in England, I think, or with Brentford at least.
Yeah. Okay, cool. Let's move on to Gholizadeh. I know you guys wanted to mention him for a bit as well. So yeah, Arya, what's the latest on Gholizadeh? What are your views?
I mean, I'm not allowed to swear, right? So I'm gonna keep it family friendly.
I actually swore, so I don't know if
Uh,
if we're bleeping that out, or I mean, if I swore, then I guess it's okay for you.
he's been awful. Like awful, awful. And I know he's been injured, but like I don't even think he has an assist or a goal to his. I don't think he's done anything so far. It's sad. Because I mean, if you can't really hack it in Poland, I mean, it's kind of looking kind of tough for him. I know he's been struggling a lot recently with injuries and stuff. Even in Turkey, I believe, he was struggling with injuries. So I don't even know like what's next for him. Is he gonna plan to go back to Iran? Like what do you guys think is up next for Gholizadeh? Because I genuinely can't imagine him anywhere at this point because of how poor he's been, and he's very he gets injured a lot. So I don't know what club this guy would fit at. What do you guys think?
Yeah, I think it's a wonderful point, and I really like the guy as well. I think he's a very good player. I think he's a great character as well. And but I think the European story for him is finished. I don't see him staying anywhere in Europe. There's only Poland. All respect to Poland, they're the sort of last stop shop. There's nothing really more you can do. You can definitely try with a lower division. You can go to, I don't know. I don't even want to name the countries, but you can go somewhere else. But I don't think that will happen. I can see him going back to Iran. I don't really see any, or maybe Turkey. I can see that happening, but or the Middle East, like the UAE or Qatar. But I think Iran is the next step for him. What do you think, Erfan?
Yeah, very unfortunate for Gholizadeh. We all know that he's one of the more technically superior players in Team Melli. So it's very sad that he couldn't hack it in the Polish league. And injuries is not an excuse, even when he hasn't been injured and when he has been getting the chances, he has not been impressing at all. And I think even in Turkey, I mean, just a few good games he had, didn't really get too many goals or assists there. And yeah, like you said, a move to the Middle East maybe. I don't know, it could happen. Hopefully not. I mean, maybe another try in Belgium, maybe another mid-table team in Belgium. I don't know. I don't think the Charleroi want him again. I think it's over for him there. But maybe another team in Belgium is a last option for him before he goes back to the Middle East or Iran.
I mean, speaking of Belgium, I mean, we've also got Sayyadmanesh, who similarly hasn't really been impressive. I think he's only got like an assist or something at Westerlo. A lot of people are disappointed with, what Sayyadmanesh has been doing recently. Love the guy, but it hasn't worked out for him, unfortunately. Then we've also got Zahir Islam, the dual national, who's slowed down recently. He hasn't been scoring any goals and stuff. Then we also got Dennis Eckert, who recently won the what is it called, the Croquis Cup, the Belgium Cup, whatever it's
He's
called.
the only Legionnaire that's been doing amazingly, and he's the only one doesn't play for the
Yeah,
national team.
yeah, exactly. So like these three guys in Belgium, I mean, Zahir Islam has been great. But I think like since the Asian Cup, even though he hasn't played for Iran, but since the Asian Cup, he hasn't really been scoring that many goals. I don't know, but I think that's more due to the team not being that great. But yeah, that's the Belgium guys.
Yeah. Let's zoom out. So what other players in Europe do you guys want to focus on in terms, because thing is we're in a position now where we do have a lot of players scattered around Europe, which is, great. But we don't have that many players in the top tier of European football, which is, less great where we did before. So on one hand is overall development, I would say, but on the other hand, it's, we're not at the very, very top level that we used to be at. But yeah, what other players do you want to highlight?
Yeah, well, first of all, I want to mention Arif Gholami. He got his move to Europe finally, but even though it was not the league that we expected, but he's playing for Veres Mostar in the Bosnian league. He's actually been doing well for them. They currently sit third in the table. I think that's enough to secure one of the UEFA Conference League qualifier spots. So maybe we'll see him playing some European football. I don't know. I don't think so. But he's been impressive for them, and hopefully he can maybe get a better move, a bigger move at the end of the season. To a better league. And then I also want to mention Sardar Azmoun, even though he's been injured. I'm pretty sure they still won the Croatian league. So congratulations to him for that. And then going to Greece, we have Karivan Sarifard, who's made and yet another move in Greece. He plays for Arya. He scored a few goals, but other than that, I don't think he's done much. I think, I respect him for staying in Europe for this long. The continuity is amazing. I mean, he's been there for so long, and every time people expect him to make a move back to the Middle East, he just goes to another team in Europe, even though it might not be the highest of levels, but he's still always there. And then Ehsan Harstefi, he's been doing good for AEK as well, even though I don't think they're winning the league this season. They're still in the second league. And I think he's been doing good enough for them. Anything else? Anything you want to add, Arya?
Yeah, we got the Turkish boys and we got the Russian boys as well. But there's also an interesting point. You were talking about Sardar Azmoun. I want to know Sina's take on this. We're kind of entering a point in his career where he kind of needs to kind of move on from Croatia now. I really do expect him. Well, I've always had a very high expectation for Sardar Azmoun. I always thought that he's a player that can do better than Dinamo Zagreb. He was great in the Champions League. I still remember that one game against AC Milan where he completely pocketed Rafael Leao.
And then a good game with Chelsea as well.
Yeah, Chelsea as well. He was really good. And the Asian Cup, he was fantastic. Unfortunately, he got injured. What Iran's campaign would have looked like if it wasn't for that injury, that's another, it's a topic for another day. But what do you guys think about Sardar Azmoun? Do you guys think he should still stay at Dinamo Zagreb? Should he kind of strive to get out of that? Because he's still quite young, right? He's not old per se. What do you guys think?
I personally think it fits his level very well. I maybe some people might disagree with me, but I think, he at his level, he does get consistent game time. I know he obviously got injured in the Asian Cup, and so he hasn't been playing as much because of the injury. But when he was sort of not getting injured and when he was playing well, he was playing every game and he was playing very consistently. So, and this is a club that gets Champions League football regularly also, which is also very good for him. Not many clubs can offer you that. So I don't know. I see it as a positive thing that he's there. Of course, if he has one absolutely standout season, he's getting loads of assists. His defensive work rate is very high, and et cetera, et cetera. He plays very well in the Champions League. I think it would be great for him to get a move elsewhere. I think getting a move now is not the best time, but I can see a season out of him where he absolutely smashes it and he does very well in the Champions League and he puts himself in the shop window. You have to remember as well that this season is the Euros in the summer. Usually what happens after that is a lot of players get shaken around. So across different clubs, and fullback is usually a position that's quite difficult to fill and replace. So you could see a move because of that reason. I don't know. We'll see. But yeah, it's somewhere where I do like him there, and he's sort of he's maintained himself in a good league, getting Champions League football. So
we're going to be moving on to the Legionnaires in Turkey. I mean, two of them have been pretty much injured for a long time now. So we've got Majid Hoseiny, who has actually had a pretty decent season for Kayserispor. Again, he got injured, and it's sad for Majid Hoseiny because we've also had is another player similar to Mohamed, for example, who we've had such high expectations for him. I remember he was being linked to like Lens in France and stuff. I don't know what's gonna happen to Majid Hoseiny going forward, but it's sad because I hope he's not going to be that one player who is going to get ruined by injuries, pretty much. And then we've got his teammate Ali Karimi. He also had a pretty good season, up until obviously he got injured. And the last player would be Milad Mohammadi, who went from Athens to Adana Demirspor. I think that's like Balotelli's old team or something like that. Haven't really followed him, to be completely honest, but I do have his FootMob rating, like notifications, and yeah, he doesn't get the best rating. So I think it's fair to say that he's not doing too well in Turkey, which is sad to hear, but it is what it is. Then we're gonna move on to Russia, which I think is a lot more exciting. It's funny because Russia, with everything that's going on, there's no Russian teams in the Champions League, so despite the players there doing well, will it really mean much at the end of the day? Perhaps not. But we've got Mohamed Mohebi, the hero against Japan. He's been incredible for Rostov. I think he's won player of the month of the Russian league a few months back. He's just been amazing. And say what you want to say about Mohebi. I've been someone who criticized him a lot. I think Erfan has also been someone who criticized him a lot. But he's been proving us wrong. He's been very good. Hopefully he keeps up that form because I think he even himself said that he's aiming to go to one of the top 5 leagues, which is something finally that an Iranian player has actually said. Then we've got these youngsters, Hossein Revandi, who got scouted from FC Kiev to CSKA Moscow. I think he played in his debut yesterday or something like that. Not too sure. Very raw player. Then we've got Kasra Tahiri, who just came off an incredible under-17 World Cup campaign, who plays for Ruben Kazan. Maybe can be the next Sardar Azmoun, who knows? And the last player that I want to mention is Horbani as well, who went from Sepahan to Orenburg, who is pretty decent as well. So the future of these guys are up in the air. So it's hopefully it goes well.
Mm. And before we go on to the upcoming national team camp, I do want to mention that literally today, Ashkan Dejagah recently announced that he was retiring from professional football. I do want to give a moment just to sort of appreciate his career for both domestic and national team. A player that I've absolutely admired for a long time. He's been absolutely immense, and I think that it's a good time for him to retire for sure. I do think that he could have reached a higher level. He was in a cohort of German players, of youth players in like Union Berlin that ended up achieving a lot. They had like Manuel Neuer, they had the Boateng brothers, they had a lot of great players. And I think he had a lot of raw ability. But he definitely reached a high level, and I still remember that season for Fulham where he almost kept them up from relegation. So yeah, massively rated player. I do remember him playing against Argentina. That was a massive game that he should have scored, should have won a penalty, but we move. What do you guys think of his career?
Yeah, obviously fantastic player. Just growing up watching Ashkan Dejagah, I think I would say I'm lucky that I caught him, even though it was mostly towards the later stages of his career. But he won the Bundesliga with Wolfsburg, like you said, and that amazing performance versus Argentina. Unlucky not to get a goal, to be honest. I think he's maybe a player that Iranian youngsters should look forward to be like. He's a player that I think a lot of youngsters look forward to. When you hear Iranian midfielders, especially over the past few decades, I think one of the first names that you think of is Ashkan Dejagah. So hopefully, maybe he has something in the coaching wise. Hopefully he does well whatever he does, because he's a really likable person. Arya, what do you think?
Yeah, as for me, you guys have pretty much said everything. Really, I don't really need to add anything. I It's funny. I thought he was already retired. Like I can swear he retired a few years ago. I don't know. Anyways, maybe I've been out of the loop. But nevertheless, here Gol Bezan wish Ashkan Dejagah nothing but the best in the future. He's also been called up to, I think that's like the Kings League, which is like PK's football league or something like that. So he's going to be participating in that, which is pretty cool. So yeah.
Yeah, I do have to admit, I'm the same as you. I thought he retired maybe a couple of years ago, but I think he was like player manager or something like that. He was like player coach for a while.
Yeah, he was in and out in the PGPL for a bit. He played a bit at Futsal. I think he had a stint in the Qatar second division as well. So, basically retired, but not officially. And now we can say he is officially retired from the sport.
Yeah, but he was a very professional athlete. He especially for the national team, he was a great presence. So yeah, wish him all the best for sure. Okay, let's talk about the upcoming camp preview, and then we can wrap up the episode there. So this upcoming camp, which I'll ask you in a second, Erfan, as to when it is, but it's for the upcoming World Cup qualifiers, correct? So yeah, when is that? What are the teams that we're playing?
Okay, so it's the last two games of the second round of World Cup qualifiers. Us and Uzbekistan have already gone through to the next round, so these games could be maybe treated as friendly. So obviously we should still be winning both of these games. So on the 6th of June, we play against Hong Kong for like the 70th time in the past 2 years. We play them away in Hong Kong, so big away day. I think we played them in the 2022 World Cup qualifiers as well, in the same round. We won that game 2-0, if I'm not mistaken. So we're going to be going back over there, maybe to test a few players out, hopefully, some youngsters. And then just 5 days after that, on the 11th of June, we're going to be playing against Uzbekistan in the Azadi. So we had a 2-2 draw against them in Tashkent a while ago. And this is a good test because, Uzbekistan are a very good team. They're on the rise, doing well on the youth stage. So even though we made fun of them, we were making fun of them a few years ago for all these friendlies we had against them. I think now we should be happy to play against them because they are, I think, one of the top Asian teams, and they have a good shot at making the next World Cup as well.
Yeah, I agree. Very, very top team.
We were ahead of the curve. Okay, no one can chat to us. We were ahead of the curve with Uzbekistan. We played a lot of friendlies against them. We were ahead of the curve. One thing I do want to add is I think we're all expecting an easy win against Hong Kong, right? But against Uzbekistan, is there anyone who's like kind of a little bit scared or kind of worried? Because with how they've been playing recently, and obviously with how Iran is, kind of a little feeling? Or am I the only one?
Well, I mean, like it's at home. We've already qualified. I could definitely see us losing. Don't get me wrong, but it's like it's a low danger thing. They played very well in the Asian Cup as well. Like don't forget that they were very competitive. So yeah, I can definitely see us losing this game. But it should be treated as an experimental game. Like have some rotational players. So yeah, I think it'll be a good game for sure because they are on the rise. Well, thank you so much, guys, for coming on the podcast with me. As for the next episode, so we'll preview the two games as we normally do, and then we'll also do Twitter Spaces as usual. And thank you so much for watching to the very end of this episode. And we'll see you very soon. Thank you so much.
Hi, my name is Saman Ghoddos. I'm playing for the Iranian national team and Brentford Football Club, and you're listening to Gol Bezan podcast.